you choose really depends upon what you like to do. If you like the standard financial accounting work, you should take the CPA route. If you like to get involved in sort of more of a consulting capacity and understanding of business, the CMA is a better route. And being a CMA will get you into other disciplines. By other disciplines, I mean other departments in the company. I think I've said this earlier, but I can't emphasize that enough, that the CMA will get, for myself, for instance, I worked very closely with the manufacturing department. I worked very closely with the marketing department, and I worked sometimes very closely with engineering, on a long-term basis on big projects. Whereas as a CPA, you wouldn't be doing that kind of work. You would be doing evaluations of taxes or audits for many companies. So you won't get nearly the depth, and you don't get to really interact with the other departments. You would generally be working with the accounting departments of other companies as a CPA, whereas as a CMA, you would be working with many different departments within the one company you work in. I hope that's understandable. That's really the biggest difference. The last one, sorry about that, the ACCA, the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants. Now this is, again, as I said earlier, this is a little different. This is not a certification. This is almost a degree. You're getting the equivalent, not exactly, not formally the equivalent, but you're getting essentially a degree in accounting when you go through this process. It's a qualification, not just a certification. It's much more global in nature. It's accepted in 181 countries. It would be considered to be as an accounting degree, not quite as good as an accounting degree, because the ACCA is much more narrow to just accounting. Whereas if you get an accounting degree, you've gotten many different, maybe some economics, maybe some taxes, maybe some other types of courses that the ACCA would not cover. But the advantage for the ACCA is that you would get it sooner, probably a bit less expensive, and it would be, it would be recognized in many countries. Especially, I didn't know this before that a couple days ago, but Hong Kong business community really highly regards the ACCA. So if you're looking to work in Hong Kong specifically, this would have a higher value to you than the other two. It's more global. The exam itself, it's not just an exam, it's a whole series of requirements. You end up taking up to 13 exams in 3 different categories in order to obtain the ACCA. And then you'll have to have 3 years of accounting experience that is supervised by someone from the ACCA to make sure that you're performing well, that you're applying what you've learned properly. And then after that process, you end up taking an ethics module, taking and passing this ethics module. So it takes quite a bit of time. It takes, it's going to take more than a year, but it's not just a certification exam. It's a process that gives you an accreditation of sorts, not just a certification. So you're kind of comparing, this is not really almost fair to compare to the other two. The other two are certifications. This is more of almost a degree. But I do like that they stress the ethics module. I don't think we get enough of that in an accounting degree or in the certifications. The ethics part of this, that they're emphasizing this so much, I think is a very good idea. I really think that's a big plus. Costs about $4,000 at least to do this, but it would be cheaper than a accounting degree. So you're trading off, you're getting this faster with less expensive, but the accounting degree has more prestige and you would learn more. So that's the trade-off. It's really more of you'd really compare this more to an accounting degree than you would compare it to the other two certifications, to be honest. They are in partnership with the IMA, so but they are not in partnership with the CPA. So you can have your CMA qualifications be recognized by the ACCA in all of these countries, but the CPA would only be recognized formally in the US. Other countries know this, other employers in the world know what a CPA is, and they're going to give that value, but it's not formally used in other countries. I've included a website on, at least on my copy here. It really gives you a much detailed comparison of the ACCA versus an accounting degree, more so than what I can give you here in this short period of time. I'm not sure if you have this one. It's you've given this out, if this is on your copy, but there's a very nice website that I found that compares the two side by side in every aspect. Okay, so lastly, so to conclude all of this, what you really want to do first is decide what category of finance or accounting that most interests you. And that's going to be hard to do until you've done a little of it. I mean, you take the courses in your accounting degree, and it really doesn't give you it's never going to give you a good understanding of what it's like to actually do it in the market, in industry. You're really only going to know this for certain once you've been out there working a little bit. I didn't know how many different categories or different types of accounting and finance was even available to someone until I was actually working somewhere. And you can see then what alternatives are. You can explore those alternatives and figure out which one is best for you. So in that sense, I would personally kind of recommend that a new graduate gets a job first and gets a little bit of an understanding of what they're doing, and then choose which exam or which certification they're going to take. That's the way I did it, and I didn't do it by design. I didn't plan it that way. It's just the way it happened, but I'm looking back at it. I'm kind of glad I did it that way, because I had a first job in a smallish company, and I was able to see all aspects of the accounting and finance and get involved in all aspects of it. And I could figure out which part of it I liked the most. And for me, I liked, the cost accounting, the management accounting. So I ended up very soon after getting my first job, only a couple of years out of university, then I went ahead and I took the CMA exam, because I knew that was the path that was right for me. Now, some people already know this. I mean, some people come out of college and they already know exactly which of those two paths they want, and they can make that decision right away. If you like the financial accounting, the auditing, the taxes, you take the CPA exam and do that probably right away. If you like the more of the internal, then you take the CMA. You can actually take these exams in your last semester. You don't have to have graduated before you're allowed to take the exam. I think you have to be in your last semester and you have to be in good standing. I wouldn't recommend that you do that, because they are so demanding that I think you should do that on its own after you graduate, just because of the demand of your time and resources. But you can technically take those examinations in your last semester. You don't have to wait till you graduate, but I just wouldn't recommend that. So again, you decide first what kind of work you like. If you already know that, then the decision's made for you. You choose the certification that's most useful, depending upon what type of accounting and finance that you do like and that you're good at. Plan ahead. Find out exactly what you need to have to be eligible to take the examinations. Not just anyone can take them. You have to have, as I said before, you have to either have a degree or be in your last semester. Find out what the fees are. I gave you some general information of what the fees are. That may not make the decision for you, but at least something to know. And then start studying as soon as you've made the decision which one you want to take. As soon as you make that decision, you should really start to study, because it's a long process. And if you try to do it all at once, just in a few weeks, it's going to be very difficult to do. I mean, the longer, the more time you give yourself, I mean, the better off you're going to be. I know that's always, everybody says that, but it's really true. And for me, again, it was better to have taken the exam after I had been working for a few years. It made the exam much easier. It just made the entire discipline of accounting more clear in my own mind, having worked for a while, and then taking the exam, rather than just jumping right into it. It made it just a couple years of work, as an accountant, really brought things together in my head and made the studying much easier, and it made much more sense to me. So yeah, plan ahead, study as much as possible, use all of the benefits that the certification will provide to you. And as I said earlier, you're not just getting a certification, you're joining an institution. In the CMA, you're joining the Institute of Management Accountants, and that provides a lot of resources. These people will help you quite a bit. You can network, as I said earlier, quite a bit. It will give you, opportunities to do research and be published. That will help you a lot. It'll help you understand. It'll help you with getting other jobs. There's other benefits than just the certification that comes with this. You're actually joining an organization when you take these exams. You would be joining the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants if you were to choose the CPA. Now there's dues. You have to pay money each year to stay in that organization. You have to pay each year to maintain that certification. In both those cases, it's not like you just take the exam, you get certified, you pass, and you're done. It's not like that at all. You have to pay a yearly fee to stay in the organization, to keep your certification. You have to, in the case of the CMA, you have to show that you're learning every year, that you have taken either seminars, or maybe it's, in my case, I was a part-time teacher, that counted. But you have to obtain a certain number of hours of additional learning. Now that can be many things. It could be research papers. Many things qualify, but it's not just a matter of getting the degree. You have to show that you're still learning every year, and you're supposed to document what you've done to learn, what courses you've taken, what seminars, or it might be seminars that your company already sent you to, and that would qualify. But you're supposed to keep records of all of this, and at any time, they can ask you to prove that you've taken enough hours that year. Now, I've never had that asked of me. I had 27 years in the business, and I never had the institute come to me and say, okay, prove that you took these number of hours of courses or training, but they could. So you have to be careful with that. You really should. And then you should do this anyways. You always have to learn. The business changes. businesses change, accounting changes, new problems are encountered every year that you have to keep up on these. So it's a good idea whether they required it or not. And the fact that they do require it means that you will keep up to date on the changes, and that's important to do that. And that's actually another reason, in my opinion, that's another reason to wait to take one of these certifications. Because in my case, for instance, I got a job pretty quickly after college, and then after 2 or 3 years, I wanted to move on to something else, and so I took that exam, and that gave me a fresh qualification. As soon as I took that exam and passed and was certified, I could now go out to the job market and have the accounting degree, have a few years of experience, and have that brand new certification. That told employers that I was up to date on the latest changes. So if you do that after a couple of years of working, there can be an advantage to that. There's an advantage to having the most recent information and to prove that you have it. This is a way of proving that. So those are some of the advantages. That's really all I have here. If you have any questions or want me to explain anything more clearly than what I have already, I hope I've made it clear. I'm never too sure until I see somebody's feedback. So that's all.